I'm here live, and I'm with one of my favorites, Senior Detective Hart.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me back at headquarters. And as you know, everybody watching, I am actively enrolling for the next cohort of my Teach Me ADHD course that starts the week of March 20th. And you just happened to watch, if you were watching prior to this, the re-airing of an episode where Detective Hart was there along with 6 other families who wanted to share their stories about why they joined the agency. So I wanted to have a special episode just for all of you to ask questions. And so please, I see some of you watching, comment, say hello, tell me what state you're from. It's always exciting for me to meet new people. But if I could just have Detective Hart maybe start us off with just kind of just saying like who you are, why you joined, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Detective Hart, and I joined mostly because of my 8-year-old son Max, who was diagnosed with ADHD, and he was diagnosed at 8, but he was difficult from the beginning, and I just figured it all out. All the pieces of the puzzle came together when he was about 8, and I just wanted to know how to help him thrive, given this diagnosis, and what I could do to set him up for success. And that's why I took the class, just to have those strategies in my back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, and that I think the class really, and I'll just briefly say, as a behavioral pediatrician, and to all my general pediatrician colleagues out there, I mean, thank you for doing the work you do. It is definitely not easy to handle behavioral and mental health issues in 15, 20-minute visits. And so, as you know, with behavior and mental health conditions, it really does take some unpacking and really understanding the context, how the child is affected at home and school, and really getting input from parents, teachers, and sometimes the child, but getting that interview with someone who really understands what ADHD is and what it isn't, and looking for other things it could be, right? And I created Teach Me ADHD because once pediatricians make a diagnosis, which they can, um, they oftentimes have a couple options. One is they might start medication if it's indicated and if the family's on board. But more often than not, the American Academy of Pediatrics really does recommend that these kids or individuals with ADHD have a care plan, which means behavioral therapy, parenting support, school accommodations, and just helping educate the family about what it is. Oftentimes, pediatricians have to refer out for these things. And as you know, ADHD is highly heritable, meaning that if the child has it, there's a good chance that a parent, or one or both, have it. And then just scheduling these things is really difficult. Sometimes there's a long wait list. Sometimes it doesn't fit with your work schedule. It's really hard. And I don't know, Detective Hart, if you can share after you receive the diagnosis, like what did that make you feel in terms of the urgency with which to get things started?
Oh gosh, I just remember feeling a sense of relief. It was just so confirming, and such a huge sense of relief because I put so much blame on myself.
Mm,
Before that diagnosis, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And I read books and blogs and tried to figure it out. And so when we got that diagnosis, I just remember the relief, just like, okay, like I know what we're working with now. So now I'm not just blindly looking for what I'm doing wrong. I have a diagnosis and I can find people to help me with this. And that's when I found you.
yeah.
So and you had the strategies, you had done all the research for me. Thank you. Yeah, a friend of mine was like, people like have done all the research for you. You don't have to do this on your own, right? And I was like, what do you mean? And that's when your name came up, Dr. Bauer. And so I Googled you and found your office and your class. And I mean, that was, I mean, I've been a follower ever since because you've done all the work for me. And so that's, yeah, the relief though when we got that diagnosis, because I just knew what we were working with was the main feeling.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're watching right now and have a kiddo with ADHD, if you can relate or share any of your thoughts and feelings after you got the diagnosis, I mean, I'm sure I've talked to lots of families just like yours, Detective Hart, who want to know, okay, what do I need to do now? Right? There's so many questions. You just want to know how to best help support your child. And again, like I said, if you're with a general pediatrician who's seeing a lot of patients. And this is not to say that, my colleagues don't do it. In fact, a lot of pediatricians do manage ADHD, but again, they oftentimes have to refer out for these things. And I just wanted to simplify it. And this class was born right in October of 2020. So if you remember what was happening then, we were all separated, we were all distanced, and we could not get together. So, I mean, I just had this brainstorm of, wait, I can help these families still get the help they need from the convenience of their home while keeping everybody safe. So I'm going to try it. And that's really how it was born. And to date, I will just share that I have helped, let's see, at last count, about 60 some families from at least 8 states. And so far, advanced registration, we've had someone from Virginia, someone from Maryland, another person from Indiana already joined. So I'm so excited to really help.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a comment. Listening in from Virginia. Yes, I share that feeling of urgency to get started with anything and everything to help my child. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it can be really just kind of nerve-wracking. And you want to get started, like you feel already behind the 8 ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've been dealing with symptoms, behaviors, worries, because often, like you knew, right? Something was amiss.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. I knew something was amiss, but I couldn't, it was hard to put into words. I just thought he was a difficult child. And then when we heard ADHD and then I started reading about it, some of them from your book clubs that you do, it just, they put into words what I was thinking and feeling. And I was like, yes, this is it. This feels so right. Like, finally someone
Finally.
understands me. Like, I'm not the only one here. There's other people who are dealing with this too. So
Yep.
um yeah.
Yeah. And what I what I have, I don't know if many of you know this, but before I went to medical school, I actually thought I wanted to be an elementary education teacher. I mean, I my first job, uh, when I was 15, I was a teacher's aide during summer school. I fell in love working with these kids, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to just work with kids." And, I mean, things happened when I went to college, and I loved psychology, I love science. So it just kind of was a natural fit for me to think pediatrics, right? And so that's how I ended up here. But I feel like I'm full circle because this class really does allow me to interact with these kids, with the families, to help them understand from the get-go what ADHD is, what it isn't, but then also helps me like engage my creative brain in ways of, well, how can I teach this concept to kids so that they understand and we can have a conversation about it, right? Um, so yeah, it's just been so fun and rewarding for me to be able to do this work in this way.
That does not surprise me because that explains like all the cool handouts
Oh.
that you created that are very teacher like, and like all the cool like just crafts and ideas. I mean that's very teacher, so I'm kind of not surprised by that at all. Like all of those creative ideas that help give us the visual reminders of what we're supposed to do as parents, when things go awry and we're like, oh, what did she say? And I go back to these and I'm like, okay, that's right, that's how we shoo away the ants.
Yes.
That's what we need to work on to get rid
Yes.
of those negative ants and
Yes.
help my kids stop blaming everyone else.
But
So yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
well, so you brought up a great thing here because showing some of those visuals in the class, we make sure that kids from the get-go learn what ADHD is and what it isn't. So I bring out models, brain-based models, and I use some humor. I'm like, no, your brain isn't really green, but I mean, I have to bring it because it's on Zoom. And yes, I know some parents are like, oh no, not Zoom. Don't do it on Zoom. But this is the way it allows me to reach as many families who need this information as possible. And you get to do it from the comfort of your house. I think kids, especially if you got to do it for 8 weeks, kids just like that consistency and being in their house. Did you think it made a difference, Detective Hart?
Yeah, I mean, it was one less place I had to get in my car and go, with all my kids. So it was nice to be able to do it from home on a Sunday afternoon. And, I know with Max, and I'm sure it's the case with other kids too, he would need to get up sometimes and he would, go away for a little bit and then he would come back into the screen or he would be doodling on the side. And I think it was probably easier for him to do that and feel more comfortable just being at home.
Yep.
So
Yep. And parents, it's okay if you register for the class and your kids are like needing to get up and move around, like totally expect it. We actually say it's okay. So please, don't worry about that, right? And we do have one brain break every meeting because it's so
mhm,
important. So I guess the one thing that I do want to ask you, Detective Hart, if you can
mhm.
weigh in, is how was it taking a class with your junior detective? I mean, was this the first time you've done it? And like, what was your role in it?
I was excited because I don't know if other people have experienced this, but my son was just always kind of resistant to doing things with me sometimes and um, just kind of defiant on any of my suggestions that, we do things together. So this he was excited about. He loved getting the box,
Oh,
and
fun.
the surprise. Yes, he was super excited about that, and so it was we had a weekly get together every week, and it just really the relationship part of it between Max and I really grew during that time because it was on the calendar. We had projects that we would work on every week. And, I just asked him tonight before I jumped on here. I was like, Max, you remember what ants are, right? He was like, another negative thought. And I was like, okay, you remember how we shoo them away? And so we still, talk about things now and we will continue to do so because there's so much information that you don't get all of it right then and there, so you have all these visual reminders for later on when you go back to look and remember what you learned. But I mean, I guess I wasn't expecting our relationship to grow as much as it did. I was doing it more almost to learn about ADHD and the strategies, but then afterwards it just the relationship and how that kind of grew, and that bond that we had doing that class really was a positive in all of it.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I feel like our relationship just kind of struggled a little bit. We had lots of ups and downs, and I feel like it's so much better now than it ever was before. Honestly, with all of the classes and the therapies. I mean, we've done the whole holistic, you know, um, child, and it just is really making a difference. I was just reading some of my behavior notes from 1 year ago, and wow, I mean, every dinner was like a tantrum. And
Mhm.
he would melt down and refuse to eat what we would make for dinner and end up in his room and not at the table with us. And he doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't, he may say, "Oh, I don't like that," and, be a little defiant, but it's not a full down meltdown like it used to be. It's just dinner time is so much better. That's just one little example.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And, for those of you watching and are curious, I mean, every week we have a different theme. And, in the supply box, the kids get this awesome map. I know, like, I'm holding it up and I know that there's no way you can read it right now. But when I was growing up and I was little, I remembered I loved maps. Like I would be like, oh, and I'd look at them and study them. So of course, when I made this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to make a map. And so, in week 2, we learn about healthy habits to support our brain health, which includes eating well and sleeping well. And it's really with the notion every class is geared towards the child, but the parent sits and engages with the child during the class because you're doing it as a team, senior and junior detective. So you come into the agency with your code name, and then you're the activities, the discussion is really geared so that way if kids don't know the answer, they're encouraged to talk to their parent. And then we have little breakouts where you and your child talk to each other, and then you guys share your answers with the rest of the class. So it is really interactive. And, I just love seeing the progression from mission 1 to mission 8. And these kids are like just like chatting with each other, and they're supporting each other, and they're clapping for each other, because they just grow together. It's really wonderful to see.
It is. It absolutely is. And
Yeah,
yeah, I know. I remember seeing a lot of them just really sad on that last day because they're like, "What? We're not meeting
I
anymore. What do you
know.
mean?"
Well,
So
don't you fear, because, I'm always looking and thinking about new ways to support my families. Because after you sign up, you obviously get the 8 weeks of, um, training mission meetings each week. And then you have 4 more months additional time in our Facebook group, in our Teach Me ADHD community. And I've really been trying to make that a community space in which we all grow together. So not only are the current detectives who are enrolled there, but we have past detectives there who stay on as members, like Detective Hart. So if you join and you're like, "Hey, I saw you on the show, Detective Hart," I mean, she's a regular now on my shows. I just like, "Hey, call you up," and you're like, "Yeah, I can hop on."
why not?
I know. But I mean, there are these wonderful families who've been there and have been in your shoes, and yet you can ask questions. They can share stories, they can share resources, and it's so welcoming. And I love that. And we also bring in at least 2 expert guests a month outside of those training mission meetings so that we continue to learn and grow. We have contests for senior detectives and junior detectives every month so that we could keep growing and engaging, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah. Detective Hart, I think you participated in several of those challenges too.
Yes, yeah, yeah, the messy desk one. That I think I was a runner up for
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's when they told me like my third kid needed to go in for an ADHD evaluation. The papers really started piling up, and my mailboxes weren't quite cutting it, and so yeah, there was that one, and I just printed off the monthly family challenge for March, which is the positivity.
Mhm.
Just say it's so easy, and it's so we'll do it at dinner time. Say one feel good thought,
Uh-huh.
and then we cross off the coin. And oh, I think I have one. Well, there. Well, hello, Detective Pikachu. He's supposed to be in bed right now,
Oh.
but he's not.
Because my mom
So,
didn't have time to put me to bed.
Oh, you missed your mom, Detective Pikachu. Hi.
Ooh, I can hear you through that.
Yeah.
um, all right, I'll be
Oh.
right upstairs. Okay, love.
Oh.
Yeah.
Special
So
guest.
yes, special guest appearance by Detective Pikachu. Yeah. So we just did we're doing the March one where you just say a feel good thought. And we do it at dinner just to keep those positive thoughts
Uh-huh.
going and those negative thoughts away. And I know the oh what is oh the author of Scattered to Focused. You're
Yeah.
going to be having on in the group too. I'm super excited because I have that book Scattered to Focused completely highlighted and notes on that one. So um, excuse me, Maxie.
I just
He
found
wants to be
the
back on the
word.
big screen.
Yes, yes. He thinks it's a class right now.
Yep, yep. Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up because that's Zach Grisham. As for those of you who have done my parenting book clubs, he actually came. We read his book, Scattered to Focused, and he did a author chat last year. He has graciously agreed to come this time back to the Teach Me ADHD community just to be there to ask you. You can ask all the questions, and so it's really a lot of fun. So I try to bring in 2 guest experts. We do these contests, these challenges just for fun. And then I've actually started doing a virtual junior detective meetup once a month just for the kiddos to just get together again. And then 1 call a month for senior detectives to just, talk about ADHD. What's going on? What do you still need help with? So I think there's lots of ways for this community to support you. Um, so I don't want you to necessarily have to stay up too late, Detective Pikachu. It is, uh, bedtime. So, Detective Hart, thank you for joining me. I will stay on just to answer some more questions for anybody who is watching and has any more questions. But I want to thank you both, Detective Hart and Detective Pikachu, for.
You want to say what your favorite part of the class was since you're here?
Oh my gosh.
What was your favorite part of the class?
I liked meeting everybody.
Oh, did you hear that, everybody? He loved meeting everybody. Oh, yeah, it's fun. It's fun, right? Because I always tell parents that, well, and I tell the kids like, you probably don't go up to your friends and say, "I have ADHD." Do you? Like, that's not something that we talk about. And so this is a real opportunity for the kids to just see and meet other kids just like them, and they realize I'm not any different from them. That's kind of cool. And they get to make friends and make friendships with kids from all over. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, I'm going to let you go, Detective Hart.
Okay. I know. Yeah.
Oh, so thanks
Thank
for
you for having me
joining.
on.
Yes. Bye, Detective Pikachu. Good
Bye.
night.
Go work on that sleeping routine. That's what we're gonna do. So
Yes.
have a good night.
All right.
You said
Thank
you took me to
you.
bed.
All right. So if you're still on, if you have any questions about anything that we chatted about, I'm here. Throw those questions or comments in the chat. And I will again be going live on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. live Eastern time. Again, hopefully with another 1 or 2 guests with me. So we are actively enrolling right now. Oh, yay! Oh, I am so looking forward to having you and your junior detective too. Thanks for joining the agency. And so, anybody else who's watching this, I'm going to throw this link up here. So, if you go to my website, letstalkkidshealth.org, right at the first button there, it's a workbook, a free download. What I've done is taken a lot of the concepts that we do in Training Mission 1 and sort of synthesized it and put it in a workbook format for families, just so that you have something that you can do right away to start talking with your child about what ADHD is and kind of getting into their mind. Because again, I think it's so powerful when you ask kids what they think and feel. It's amazing what they have to say, right? You could be surprised. And especially after receiving that diagnosis, it is so important to make sure that you touch base with them because I don't know what circumstance or how the diagnosis was made. Think about that if they were at the pediatrician office or you're talking with a psychologist who just did testing. If your child was in the room, they might have heard, so and so has ADHD. I try to put myself in their shoes, and I often wonder, do kids think, "Oh my gosh, what is that? Is that harmful? Like, did I do something wrong? Is that something that's going to go away?" And so I think it's such an opportunity if we don't engage our kids right away from the get-go about what ADHD is and what it isn't and invite them to talk about it, that it's a missed opportunity. And when we don't ask them those questions, how they're thinking and feeling about ADHD, they could be thinking and feeling a lot of different things. And it can be scary. It can be overwhelming for them. And so I hope that even if you do not end up joining us at the agency, that you will at least check out that free workbook, because I think it's going to be really helpful to at least jumpstart that conversation for you and your family. It's really important. And then if you look at my blog, I have some really great children's books about ADHD that you can get your hands on and also use to jumpstart additional conversation. So it's not going to be a one and done conversation, but it should happen. And then kind of anytime there are things that occur, maybe your child comes home upset from school, or, is getting really frustrated doing homework, or, you got a phone call home from the teacher. I mean, these are opportunities to look at it in a different light and then be able to start a conversation about, okay, I know that right now school's hard. And the reason is because, remember, you have ADHD. It's just a different way that your brain is thinking and learning. But I want to be able to help you, and I want to understand what was happening, right? So again, it really boils down to having the communication strategies and then knowing how to teach your kids in a child-friendly way what it is, what it isn't, how to set up those systems that they need at home and school to thrive. But more importantly, at the end of this class, if I've done my job right, I have given you a toolbox of strategies that you can use in everyday life, but also your child can use for lifelong advocating for themselves. I want to set families up from the get-go to have strong relationships, like Detective Hart just said. She said a year ago, their relationship was much more strained. And now they have a way to connect and communicate and collaborate with each other, because every deed, every family mission we do is really intended to strengthen that and give you all confidence. I'm not saying that the road ahead is going to be easy and it's not going to make those challenges go away. However, when both you and your child have learned all about ADHD together and have a solid foundation, you'll know that you can regroup and team up as a team. And you'll know who else is on your team that you can lean on and ask for help. And I'm hoping that part of that team and that community is the Teach Me ADHD community. So for those of you who signed up on our wait list, you should have already been getting my advanced registration emails. This is just a friendly reminder that priority registration ends tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So the registration link is in those emails. You should have gotten one every day starting on Friday till today. So in that email is a special top secret coupon code for 15% off. So please make sure you use that and take advantage of it. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we start general registration. So what does that mean? If you are already a subscriber on my email list, you are going to start getting some emails, one a day. You can obviously opt out of the campaign emails by going to the bottom, okay? But if you are at all interested in signing up with me and joining me at headquarters at the All Deeds Help Detective Agency and being one of those senior and junior detectives this round, please check out those emails. They're going to be hitting your inbox around 9 to 10 o'clock tomorrow and one every day thereafter until agency doors close. If you have questions, please feel free to respond to any of those emails. Reach out. Join me live again on Wednesday if you have more questions. I also have a couple more mini simulations planned throughout this coming week, including I think Monday is the next one. They're free, 30 minutes. you and your junior detective can join. You'll get a flavor of what the class is like. I run it a little bit kind of like that just so that kids can kind of see. But then they interact with me. They get to meet me. And hopefully, if there are other kids there, they get a flavor for what that's like. But really, I want to make sure I give you any opportunity to learn about this course before you sign up, including seeing how your child reacts. Because I know one of the objections could be, oh my gosh, it's on Zoom. Please, we're tired of Zoom. My kid won't sit still for 60 minutes. Well, you can ask the other families who've gone through. I've made it as fun and engaging. And I think the detective theme, the supply box, the activities we do, the brain breaks, the meeting other kids, it all goes a long way with helping kids stay attuned, learning, and with you. So I am so glad that you tuned in. Thanks for those of you who watched and dropped in comments. Thank you for those who've already registered this go around. Classes start the week of March 20th. I only have 2 class times this time, 24 slots total. And if those class spots are filled before March 13th, agency doors are going to close. Otherwise, we will stay open until March 13th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Please check out that link in the email starting tomorrow, and I will be talking on social media, sharing it on social media as well. There is that special early bird discount in this general registration period until March 10th. You get 10% off. So if you act early and fast, there are rewards for you to do so. But again, like I said, if you do not join us this go around, I hope you do check out that link scrolling at the bottom for some just resources and tips, and then continue with me in the parenting discussion group. That's another community that is supportive and has a lot of different families there who can answer some questions. All right. Good night, everybody. And I hope to see you again here soon. Thanks for watching.